guys, this is LegoMatic 9, and today I will be continuing my series of custom LEGO minifigures from all of the Star Wars films. This time, I have some minifigures from Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Now we all know Attack of the Clones isn't the best movie. Doesn't have the best dialogue and writing.
I'm haunted by the kiss that you should never have given me.
And can be a laughable mess at times.
Alright, I get the picture.
But I still wanted to make a few characters from it since the prequels do have a special place in my heart, and they do have some amazing and memorable costume designs. Now, if you guys are familiar with how I've been running the series in accordance with the prequels, you'd know I'm only making one version of each character for the whole trilogy rather than per movie. So that means Anakin and Obi-Wan are coming, but I'm saving them for Revenge of the Sith since I do believe those are their best looks for the prequels. But for Attack of the Clones, I do have these three minifigures here, which are Count Dooku, Jango Fett, and Padme Amidala. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump right into this.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi. Even you.
We're going to kick things off with Count Dooku. Now, Dooku is the main villain of this film, so that's why I included him in this one instead of waiting for Revenge of the Sith. And my Revenge of the Sith villain lineup was already pretty crowded, so I didn't want to include him in that one and overcrowded, and he helped beefing up the roster in this video. But enough about that, let's go ahead and take a better look at this guy, starting with his lightsaber hilt. Now, this is an updated LEGO Count Dooku lightsaber hilt, same one that they've been using ever since 2002 with some modifications to it. I like making simple modifications to these hilts to make them more screen accurate while still keeping the LEGO look. I think this one succeeded with that. So what I did for this is I sculpted on this little bit right here, then painted it up and chromed it so it matched the chrome on the actual hilt there, so it blended in pretty well. And then I painted some black and some gold down here. So that's a good look at the hilt there. We're really happy with how that turned out, and it is pretty simple, so it gets the job done. We're going to just take that out of his hand for now, just so we can take a better, more focused look on the figure. So, Count Dooku here was actually pretty simple besides the cape. That's where the most work came in, but we'll go ahead and start with the legs and move our way up like usual. So the legs just have some simple brown boots painted on there onto some dark brown legs. Now the tunic, moving up to the torso and the waist, is made out of electrical tape. A piece was put onto the torso here, and then it wraps all the way around the belt there and the waist. And that was painted up in black, and then it has some brown detailing for the wrinkles and the stitching and everything. And then it also has an electrical tape belt that wraps all the way around with these two pockets painted on here that were also made out of electrical tape. Now, he does have some silver bits on the Revenge of the Sith look, but since this is Attack of the Clones, it just has some dark brown on there. Kind of hard to see, but it's there. But yeah, torso, pretty basic. Arms are painted in the same color black to match with the tunic. Moving up to the cape was the hardest part. It's just an official LEGO cape that has the back part painted in a dark brown, and then the inner part is painted in a lighter brown. So there's just a better look at the browns there. And now I did cut off the bits that wrap around the neck peg, and just so I could easily take this off and also include the chain and the little clasp there. Now the clasp were just made out of Procreate, and then the chain was just off of some old necklace that my mom let me chop up to use for this. So both of those were painted up in silver. The cape can still come off, which I'll show you here in a sec. But the head is just the Count Dooku head with the beard repainted, so it's a little more darker. The LEGO print was pretty faded, so I painted that up. Then the hair is just white, slick back hair that was washed in a lighter gray. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the cape just to show you a cool little thing that I did on this guy. Now, one of Count Dooku's signature fighting poses is the arm behind the back. He uses that in the Clone Wars, and I think he probably uses it in the films, but you can take the cape off just like that. And we'll pop this arm off, and then we'll have to also just take the torso off. Give me a sec. Now there's these products out there called Crazy Arms. They're sold by a company called Crazy Bricks. What you do is you take your pair of legs, and then you take this special peg, you just slide it in there like that, and then you can go ahead, put the torso back on. And we can take this bent arm that they produce, we'll just take that, and we'll peg that back here. I just move this hand so it's right. Peg that in right there. So now it looks like his arm is behind his back. Go ahead and plop the cape and the head back on so you guys can get a better look at him in his fighting pose. So there's a good look at that. So that's going to be it for Count Dooku. Let's go ahead and move on to the next figure. Next up is Jango Fett. Now, Jango was the character I was looking for the most when making my prequels figures, and that is just because he is Mandalorian, and Mandalorian armor is so much fun to sculpt and paint. So much fun that I'll be making another set of Mandalorian armor, and I'm going to be sending it over to Andrew, my buddy at AV Figures, to have casted and put up for sale. So if you guys are wanting a set of Mandalorian armor, you guys can go ahead and head over there in the next month or so and buy your own. I'll be posting a video or a picture or something promoting that whenever that is ready, but just keep that in mind if you are interested. Now, Jango here, again, has a lot of sculpted details on him, so we're going to go through and talk about everything. One thing I wanted to do on this guy was make sure that he was slim. My Boba was a little bit chubby, just with the armor. It just came across as a little chubby, and I know some people pointed that out and complained about it extensively. So hopefully this will please them if they are into that. If not, then whatever. I'm just very pleased with how this guy turned out. So I'll go ahead and explain everything that I did on this guy, starting with the legs, like usual. On the legs here, I sculpted the knee pads and the thigh armor. Now the boots and the shin armor were just painted on, just because I didn't have enough room to actually sculpt that shin armor. But it's also got some armor bits painted on the side there. Now the cod piece is also made out of metal. Right there, I used pop can metal throughout this guy in a few areas, so that is just made out of metal. The little bit right there where the straps meet is also sculpted out of Procreate. You can get a better look at it underneath there. Now, these straps were all made out of E-tape, and as well as the holsters were made out of E-tape and painted up in brown, just because it looks more of a leathery material, so I don't want to use cloth. But I made those, and those wrap all the way around the legs. Now, moving up onto the torso, the belt area. As you can see right here, what did I use? I used cloth for that part, and then I painted it in some brown colors, and that wraps around the back as well. Now, the actual pouches up front are sculpted out of Procreate, and then we're painted in a brown color. So there's just a better look at those right there. Those look pretty nice. I like those more than my Boba pouches, because my Boba pouches just seem too sharp in some areas, where these are their pouches, so they could be a little softer and a little more curved and everything. So I like how these turned out. Moving up onto the torso, I slimmed down the size of the torso so he wouldn't look fat with the belt on. And then the armor pieces were all sculpted on individually and then painted up in silver. Now the undersuit is painted in a kind of a darker blue, and then the rest of the jumpsuit is painted in like a purpley blue color. I wanted to mix the two because he has like more of like a sand blue jumpsuit on Camino, and then when he's on Geonosis, it's more of a purple color. So I kind of mixed the two, and I really like how this turned out. Now on the arms here, he's got two different sides of gauntlets here. They're both different on each side. Both were sculpted in many layers of Procreate, so there's just a good look at that one. That's got the wrist rocket on it. And then this is the flamethrower right there. It's got some buttons sculpted on there. It's got the hoses sculpted on there. The shoulder pads on both sides are made out of that pop can metal that I mentioned before. This side is a little different. This has the darts on it. Just other little gadgets and stuff sculpted on there. And some hoses on the back there as well. And then the shoulder pad, like I said. Nothing sculpted onto the hands because I think he just wore some gloves, so I didn't need to sculpt anything there. The back part is sculpted there, and then this is a Clone Army Customs jetpack that I modified a little bit so it would just sit on there nicely rather than wrap around the neck, and I slimmed it down a little bit, then painted it up in different colors of blues. I really like how that looks. Moving on to the helmet. The helmet is just the Lego Mandalorian helmet with some bits sculpted on there, such as the rim around the visor and then the cheeks. And the side bits are also sculpted on there, so those look pretty nice. Biggest pain in the butt about this guy was just painting the thin lines that wrap around the helmet. Now the back does get a little sloppy back here just because I was like, yeah, I just want to be done with this. But the front turned out pretty clean, and that's all I really care about. Now the rangefinder is made out of a staple. And it used to be able to move, but I just was like, screw it, I don't need to do that. He only has it down like in one scene in the movie, so I didn't really feel like including that feature like what's on my Boba. But all this bit right here was sculpted, and I'm just really pleased with that, as well as up there it's sculpted. No Jango head underneath, it's just a random clone head under there, so I don't feel like taking the helmet off. I was going to make one, but I just decided not to because I'm just lazy and nobody would see it anyway. So that is pretty much it for Jango Fett. Let's go ahead and look at some comparisons real quick. Now, I just want to do a quick comparison between this Jango Fett and a few of my other custom Mandalorians that I've made in the past. First up is my Jango Fett I made back in 2014. As you can see, the old Jango Fett uses a bunch of Lego print, and that is pretty much it. Not a lot of custom work on this guy. He doesn't look too good compared to today's standards. I've definitely improved a lot in the past 4 years, so hopefully you guys think the same. And then the other figure I want to bring in is my Boba Fett from Return of the Jedi. These guys are in the same style. So between those two, let me know which of these guys you like the best. I think I like Jango a little more. I think the sculpt is a little cleaner on him, but I don't know. What do you guys think? So yeah, that's all I really wanted to do for Jango Fett. Let's go ahead and move on to the next figure.
You call this a diplomatic solution?
No, I call it aggressive negotiations.
The last figure I have for Attack of the Clones is Padmé Amidala. Now I decided to make Padme in her arena outfit just because it is my favorite look for her, even though she has a bunch of different fancy dresses and stuff she wears throughout the rest of the trilogy. This one is still my favorite. It is also conveniently probably the most simple design I could go for with a Padme, but that's fine. Even though the figure itself is pretty simple, the blaster is a whole nother story. No one in the LEGO community makes a good droid blaster. So when I was making her, I was like, okay, I need to make her a droid blaster because she uses this for approximately like 22 seconds or something in the film, and that's just a random number I made up in my head on the spot, but still, it's not in the movie for a while. Like, she doesn't have it for long. She uses it in the arena battle, and that is pretty much it. So, being the crazy guy I am, I was like, you know what? I need to make my own. So, this is how this thing was born. Stay up, Jesus Christ. Alright, the main base of this thing was a Brick Arms E11 blaster, which is the Stormtrooper blaster. And I cut off the barrel, cut off the scope, cut off pretty much everything except for the handle and the back part of the stock part. The rest of that is just completely sculpted. Now, I put a lot of effort into making this thing, and why? Well, I'm crazy. Was it worth it? Sure. So, if you guys were following me on Instagram, you just see how much I just wanted to get this thing done, just because I was getting so sick of working on it. What I did is I sculpted the barrel, sculpted the receiver, this grip up here, sculpted all those vents and stuff in the barrel, sculpted the rail, sculpted like the magazine, which is actually probably just an energy pack because it's Star Wars. But yeah, everything on this thing was just then sculpted. I'll post some whipped pictures here so you can just see a better look at everything I did on this thing. But this thing was just such a pain in the ass to make, but I'm happy I did it because it does look pretty good. I painted it in black and then dry brushed it in gunmetal so it would look a little more worn. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the droid blaster. I'm just really, really pleased with how that thing turned out. Now back onto the actual simple part, the rest of the figure. Starting off with the legs, she just has some tan boots painted on with some brown details painted on for the stitching and all the straps. The belt is made out of electrical tape, and she's got some pouches sculpted on here, here, and here. Those were painted up in the tan color. Then it wraps around the back. Now the torso is just a standard Lego torso that I curved myself to make it look a little more feminine. I didn't use an Aerolite torso just because I think the curves on theirs are a little extreme and unnatural. So I curved it myself. Then I painted on the flesh tone, painted all the rips, painted on the stitching and everything, painted on the little curves for her stomach area. And then on the back here, she just has the claw marks from the neck suit that scratched her back. So that looks pretty good. Got all the rips and stuff, and the shoulder blades painted on there as well. Now on both arms, she has some E-tape for the silver ribbons or whatever she has. The straps on there, or the armbands that are signifying that she's a senator. Have those on there painted up in silver. One arm, it has the sleeve ripped off, and then also has the scratch right there. Now the head is just the normal Padme head that came with a Republic gunship a few years ago, as is the hair. That was just painted a different shade of brown. But yeah, that is pretty much it for Padme. Pretty simple figure besides the blaster, but I'm pretty happy with how she turned out. So, that is going to be it for this video. Let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. After I finish this video, I'll be working on my Brick Fair Shenanigans video. I just wanted to get this video out before that because that one's going to take me a while to edit because I got a lot of footage this year. So that'll be the next video. Then after that, I'll be starting my Revenge of the Sith customs. I got 7 figures planned. Should be Anakin, Obi-Wan, Mace Windu, Chancellor Palpatine, General Grievous, Commander Cody, and a 501st Clone Trooper. So I'll be working on those guys right after I finish the Brick Fair video. But it will take me a while because I am starting school, here in the next few weeks, so that project might not come out for another 2 months or so. But stay tuned. I think I have another plan of videos and stuff that'll come out in between then, which should be pretty cool. But besides that, if you guys would let me know down in the comments which of these figures is your favorite. I think mine is still Jango Fett, but I'd like to hear your guys' opinions. And also, if you guys have any other suggestions for other Star Wars or just other LEGO figures in general you'd like to see me make, go ahead and leave those as well. And yeah, that's going to be it. If you guys haven't already checked out my other social media accounts, all will be linked to in the description below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later.